Hello, welcome to the third podcast of a series of linked 3 podcasts which take you through the slideshow which I did in my revision session on Friday the 13th of March. That was last Friday. This third podcast focuses on the immediate circumstances that resulted in Hitler becoming Chancellor, appointed Chancellor, of course, on the 30th of January 1933. And as you can see from the heading, it's largely a simple story now of personal revenge. So it is about von Papen's revenge. So taking you through the key points. As we said in the previous podcast, von Papen was not the ideal Chancellor for Germany. He was an aristocrat, he was very rich, but he was out of touch with ordinary Germans. Only 68 members of the Reichstag out of nearly 600 were prepared to support him. He therefore could not pass laws through the Reichstag. So he governed Germany in the way Brüning had been governing Germany since 1930, using Article 48, which was of course not democratic. Hindenburg was not prepared to allow von Papen to carry on running Germany that way. And so, as we saw last time, elections had been called in November 1932, which resulted in the same hung parliament. Von Papen's days were numbered. So what should Papen do? Okay, he clearly couldn't allow von Papen to carry on running Germany, so reluctantly, because von Papen was his personal friend, he had to sack von Papen, which he did in the early December 1932, and he had to find another candidate. Now Hitler again was the leader of the largest party, but he couldn't appoint Hitler because Hitler was not prepared to share power with anyone. He wants the whole chancellorship, he wants to control the cabinet completely by himself. And so the third candidate now appeared, and this candidate was a general called General von Schleicher. His name translates as General von Creep, which sums up his personality. Schleicher had a series of concrete proposals. He believed he could find a way of governing Germany, and so von Schleicher was given the chancellorship by Hindenburg to have a go himself. But bottom line, Schleicher was in the same position as von Papen before him and as Brüning before that. He didn't have enough support in the Reichstag to pass laws through the Reichstag. He therefore had to take bills to the president to sign by presidential decree. And in the meantime, control of the streets lay with the Nazis and the communists, who were virtually on the edge of a civil war. Hindenburg, deeply worried by what was happening, clearly has got to find another solution to the problem. He can't keep dissolving Parliament and then recalling elections, because every Parliament is hung. And so, caught in that dilemma, von Papen now reappears on the scene. And von Papen had a proposal. Basically, what motivated von Papen was personal revenge. It was as simple as that. Von Papen had lost his position as Chancellor because he had been kicked out because Schleicher believed he could do a better job. Schleicher couldn't do a better job. Von Papen wants to take control of government himself, but he can't be Chancellor himself. He's already had one go at that and it didn't work. So what is the solution? Well, von Papen's solution was, let's look at Hitler again. Until now, he has refused the chancellorship, because he wants to have complete control himself. But the situation has changed. In the last elections, the Nazis lost 2 million voters. Hitler will be anxious about that. So let's re-offer him the chancellorship and see if we can make a deal. And that's exactly what they did. They approached Hitler and they offered him the chancellorship, and von Papen's plans were to attach strings to the deal. The idea is what we call boxing Hitler in. Effectively, he will be Chancellor, but like a puppet, his strings will be pulled by von Papen, who will be really controlling him. At least that was the plan. So how would they box him in? Well, they said, first of all, that von Papen would be his vice-chancellor, the deputy chancellor. And secondly, attached to that, Hitler would not be allowed to meet with President Hindenburg without von Papen present at his side. So von Papen's thinking, this will be a way of me controlling Hitler. Little did he realise how difficult it would be to control a monster like this. But von Papen was arrogant. He believed Hitler was just a lowly Austrian corporal, and that effectively he could influence him. The second string that was attached was that only 3 out of the 12 cabinet positions would be given to the Nazis. The other 9 would be controlled by non-Nazis. So effectively Hitler would be outnumbered in the cabinet by members of other political parties that von Papen would control. Hitler, of course, was cunning. He could see what was happening. Hitler agreed to accept the chancellorship, but on one condition. He wants new Reichstag elections. So new Reichstag elections were set on the 5th of March. Hindenburg could not say no. Of course, what Hitler is aiming for in these elections is to actually achieve the majority. Remember, the Nazis have only got 33% of the seats. They need 51%. And that is a tall order. 324 seats is how many they will need. But now that he's Chancellor, he will have access to the radio and to media outlets that he would not previously have had. He is head of government, after all. So Hitler was confident that in the next set of elections he will reverse the downward turn and the Nazis will be back on the up. To finish this podcast, there is a factual test on the next 2 slides. So, as before, go through the factual test, pause the podcast, and then you can review the answers, which will be in the folder on Frog. So the next one. A reminder that next week we will do another key topic area, which is commonly tested: how Hitler turned his chancellorship into a dictatorship. In 1933 to 1934, and that will be next Friday. As before, if you found this podcast helpful, please do give it a thumbs up on YouTube, and thank you very much for listening to it.